This is Icebreakers delivered by Montana's, and Patrick Kane has been long linked to the New York Rangers as a potential trade deadline fit. But do the Rangers have their eye on any other right wingers who could possibly land in their top six?
They do, Mike, and I think everyone's curious what happens with Patrick Kane. I would include the New York Rangers in that group still as well, but they're also doing their due diligence on some others, and I'm told that Timo Meier of the San Jose Sharks has risen to the very top of their list in terms of potential trade targets and fits for the Rangers. You look at the season that Meier is having with the Sharks, it's not just Erik Karlsson who's having a career year. It's Timo Meier with 25 goals racked up already to this point in 45 games. He's got 45 points. He's someone that would add a little bit of heft, I think, to their top six. And if you could plug him in, whether it's on the line with Artemi Panarin, whether it's in another spot with Mika Zibanejad, there's certainly a place and a spot for Timo Meier and what he brings to the lineup. I think the one complication I'm told with Patrick Kane, even with a team like New York potentially interested, is that I don't think he wants to go anywhere for a 3-month run. I think if he's going to move, he wants to have the idea of a long-term contract extension in place. And that's sort of where things get complicated for the Rangers as you do the math with someone like Meier. He has a $10 million qualifying offer that's due to him at the end of this season. I don't think anyone thinks sort of right at this moment, even as he's been a point per game player, that this season he's taking a big leap forward from the 75 points that he put up last year to be a $10 million player. So can they come to some sort of long-term contract extension for Timo Meier under a number that is not just comfortable for Meier, but also fits the Rangers and their cap scheme moving forward with some of the other younger players that they're going to have to pay in short order? I don't think there's been much happening with Meier and the Sharks in terms of contract negotiations. I think it's certainly front burner for them to try and maximize the return on Timo Meier. And as I said, the New York Rangers have emerged as a prime candidate to land Meier's services.
Well, I like that fit. I think he'd fit the ethos of the team under Gerard Gallant. And speaking of Gerard Gallant's ex-team, the Vegas Golden Knights, I got to tell you, man, it was raining in Vegas yesterday hard. And I don't mean just away from the rink because Alec Martinez left Monday's game. He did not return. They're also missing Shea Theodore and Zach Whitecloud, who are on IR. Brett Howden's out. But what's going on with Mark Stone? He's been out of the lineup now for a little bit. Do you have any update on him?
Yeah, I forgot my stethoscope today, Mike, but Dr. Seravalli does have office hours today. And yes, Mark Stone, I can say with confidence, is dealing with another back issue. And that has to be scary news for the Vegas Golden Knights and their fans, considering what he went through last year with his back injury and the subsequent procedure that he underwent to try and fix things up. So I think the only fluid part of the situation, Mike, for the Vegas Golden Knights is what exactly is the severity of this back injury. And they're still trying to figure that out. Obviously, not a secret that Stone is going to be missing some time. Bruce Cassidy, their coach, was saying that he is week to week. So that's certainly not day to day or anything like that. And where it really begins to get interesting, Mike, is what happens if Mark Stone is going to potentially be out for the rest of the season. I'm not reporting that or saying that that is fact or may happen. But I think if you're looking at the Vegas Golden Knights, who have always been super aggressive when it comes to trying to improve their team, if all of a sudden they have $9+ million in LTIR space to play with, well, then look out because they will be one of the prime teams to watch leading up to the NHL's March 3rd trade deadline.
Yeah, and I think they're going to need a little help here, Frank. I mean, that team's 15, 13, and 2 in their last 30 games. They got Seattle and LA just 2 points behind them in the standings out there in Pacific. So, Frank, I could easily see them being pretty aggressive, as you said, heading towards the trade deadline. So, another topic to keep an eye on out in the Pacific is Kailer Yamamoto of the Edmonton Oilers. He's been moved to LTIR, which doesn't fully solve the Oilers' cap issue. It kind of feels like it's just really a Band-Aid covering up a deep cut. So what's next out there in oil country?
Well, yeah, I don't know if a deep cut is necessarily needed, but essentially what the Oilers have done is kicked their cap problem down the road. Yamamoto has been dealing with a multitude of injuries this season. You can tell with his play and his point production has not quite been right. And so this will give him a chance to not just heal up, but also maybe to mentally reset. As I mentioned, he's eligible to come off of LTIR on February 12th. And so that is the target date to circle, because if the Edmonton Oilers remain healthy otherwise to that point, well, then they're going to have to make a corresponding salary cap move then to be cap compliant to continue to ice the same roster. So this does kick the can down the road. And what happens then? The Oilers were preparing for this type of circumstance before Yamamoto was injured on January 11th. Ken Holland, their GM, put some feelers out to the rest of the NHL. Not really a secret that the Oilers would have had to waive one of Derek Ryan, Jesse Puljujarvi, or Warren Foegele in order to make the cap situation work. They did make those players available to other teams, and I'm told that the Oilers actually engaged in conversation with a couple teams about someone like Jesse Puljujarvi, and I think the conversations were actually pretty promising to that front. So Puljujarvi did generate some interest from a handful of teams in the NHL, which is good news for the Oilers as it gets closer to the trade deadline, because a lot of people were wondering if the Oilers might have to actually trade an asset in order to move on from Puljujarvi and his $3 million cap hit. Right now, remains to be seen what kind of cap issues the Oilers have over the next month when Yamamoto does end up getting healthy. But keep in mind, Puljujarvi is potentially an exit ramp for the Oilers to get out of those issues for their cap. So keep an eye on Puljujarvi. He will certainly be on our next trade targets board, Mike.
Yeah, a little bit to juggle out there in Edmonton. You never know what'll happen next. That'll do it for this week's Icebreakers delivered by Montana's. This season, Montana's is bringing back the viewing party with their new daily deals and comfort menu. Today's Tuesday. That means $5 tacos with the purchase of any beverage. Head on over to montanas.ca for more info.